Get up, get focused, and get into your passion. It's time to Moio everywhere we go. Your position creates perspective that changes your realization. Let me say that again. Your position creates perspective that changes your realization. Now you say, Jack, what do you mean by that? Well, that's a good question. Let me explain. Here in these red rocks of Sedona, there are huge rock formations all over the place. And they have different names because they look like different things. There's a rock formation called Steamboat Rock. It looks like a steamboat. There's a Chimney Rock. There's even a Snoopy Rock that looks like Snoopy sitting on top of his doghouse. But depending on where you're standing, what your position is, it creates a different perspective. And it may look completely different based on your position. So you may be in one area and look at Steamboat Rock and think, that doesn't even look like a steamboat at all to me. Whereas in another position, it does. So the realization of what it actually is all depends on where you're standing, your position, because it's your position that creates the perspective. There's a particular rock formation here called Cathedral Rock. That's one of my favorite hikes. But when you're standing from a distance, maybe a mile away, and you're on the north side of the rock, it looks like the face of a man laying down, looking up at the sky. When you stand on the eastern side of the rock, it looks like two huge pillars of stone projecting up with a space in between where there's a smaller, flatter pillar. But when you stand in the middle on that pillar and you've hiked to the top of that pillar, it looks like you're standing in a giant cathedral on the stage, looking out at all of nature as the audience. It's impressive. But it all depends on where you're standing, because your position creates your perspective, and that is your realization. Now think about this. The way I live my life, I live from a certain position that is unique to me. No one else lives from the position that I live. So the views, the perspective I have is entirely unique to me because no one else has that position. And therefore, the realization is entirely unique to me. We get caught up thinking that everybody should have the same realization as we have. But the truth is, nobody lives in or walks in the position that I do. And in the same tone, I don't live in or walk in the same position as anyone else. So how could I be so arrogant to think that everyone should have the same perspective as me? That's where we get caught up. We have to learn to understand that everybody sees from a different position, from a different perspective. When we learn and understand that and can keep that forefront in our mind, we can learn and understand the lives of others and love them more. So what's your position? What's your perspective? That's your realization. Understand it's unique to you. And stop and try to see things from other people's perspectives before you pass judgments. Moyo, everywhere we go.